Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to make an Ocean Jasper with Druzy. It's quite straightforward and simple. What you're going to need is some translucent clay. Now I'm using Cernit, but you could use any translucent clay. I've got a piece rolled out here onto a number 6. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 equalish pieces, strips, rolled onto a number 5 on my pasta machine, 0 being the thickest setting. And I've also got another piece rolled out for down the road. These two pieces are going to be backing pieces. One's on a 5, one's on a 4. And then you're going to need a little chunk of translucent to make the druzy with, and you'll also need a little bit of white pearl clay. This is Primo. Just a little bit of that. You'll also need some translucent liquid clay, and then you'll need some mica powders. Now I've looked at Ocean Jasper, and they come in all different colours really, but I'm going to go with these colours. So I've got like a light blue mica powder, I've got a random mix, I've got some silver, I've also got a dark blue, a gold, a bronze, and then just some white pearl mica powder as well. And that's all you're going to need. Now to make these, I remember watching a Kalyana design tutorial a very long time ago, but I've remembered it, and she made these what she called matrix stamps out of clay, out of polymer clay, and you can do them in all different sizes just to get the pattern that you're looking for to make stones with. And all you do, and I'm just going to show you quickly, but you can go and watch her tutorial as well if you want to, and I'll leave a link for that. And you just need some ball tools like this, and all she did was get some clay, and I've rolled this onto a number 2 and then doubled it, so it's quite a nice thick piece. And then you just get your ball tool and you quite simply just push it into the clay, but you kind of join those balls up, those imprints together, so it's not like a complete circle, just so it gives a little bit more of a pattern. And you can use all different sizes. You can do small ones, big ones, you could do bigger than this if you wanted, but that's all she did. And she called it a matrix stamp. So that's what I am using for this tutorial, but that's all you do. And obviously then, like I did with mine, cut them into cute little squares, bake them, and they're quite flexible and they're pretty good to use as stamps. So I've got 3 different sized ones here, but I'm probably just going to stick with these 2 today, the larger pattern. So you'll need that as well, but clay wise that's all you're going to need. And then we've got the mica powders and the liquid clay. Obviously you'll need some cutters and the standard tools. Alright, so I'm just going to make some room. So I'm going to do 2 separate blocks for this. I'm going to go with the blue, light blue, silver and dark blue on these 3 strips, and on the other 3 strips I'm going to be using the gold, the copper and the white mica powders, like so. And it's pretty straightforward. You'll need the pearl clay at this point as well. I'm just looking for my spoon. Now I'll just use a brush actually. Alright, so the first strip then, I'm just going to try and get in camera shot, it would help. Oops. On the first one then, I'm going to try and lower you a little bit. I feel like it's a little high up. So you're just liberally going to brush some mica powder on each of these strips in the different colours that I showed you, like so. Now what I tend to do is put a little bit on to start with, mix it up, and if I need to add any more I will. But I've noticed with the Ocean Jasper the intensity of colour also varies as well, so you can be as muted as you want really. I kind of like the muted look on faux stones. So that was the light blue, this is the silver. clean my brush off first before I do that. Just throw some silver on there, put a little bit more. And just brush it over. I might add just a fraction more of that actually. So how much you add is entirely up to you guys. It's how intense you want the colours. Don't forget you're mixing it with translucent, so it's going to remain quite muted. And then on the last piece is the dark blue. No matter how hard I try, I always end up getting some on the desk. Always. No matter how careful I am. I'm just so messy. Alright, so that's those three colours, and I might add some more once I've mixed those colours in, but I will tell you if I do so. And then you're going to take your pearl clay and just like a pea size, a large pea on each one of those strips. Like so. Actually, I think that might be a little bit too much. I'm just going to take a little bit off each one, so just a regular pea size, not a large pea size. I changed my mind, and I think that will be good. So that's those three strips, and you're just going to mix each one of those together till the colour and the white pearl is mixed in completely. And then on these three strips, so I'm just going to fold these over and get them out of the way. They're going to go through the pasta machine. I'm just going to roll them until it's all mixed in. But I need to make some room and clean this away before I do the next three. Okay, so the next three then, I'm going to add white pearl on this one. Clean my brush a little bit. Just throw that on there. Got a bit too much on that one. Like so. And then the gold. A little bit more. Yeah, a little bit more. Like so. And then the last one, this like bronzy colour. I think it's bronze. Or you could use copper. Well, this might be copper actually. It doesn't actually say what colours they are on these cheapy mica powders that I bought from Amazon. Coppery, bronzy colour. And this one's actually really pigmented. Okay, so that's the next three, and you're going to do the same thing. You're going to take a pea size of the pearl, the white pearl, and just plop that on there. And same thing, mix them all together. Not all together, individually. Mix the colours into each individual strip of clay. So I'm going to go and do that off camera. I'm going to mix each one, pass them through the pasta machine until all the colour is thoroughly mixed in. And I will be back. So I've mixed all the colour into each of those strips that I had, and I rolled them onto a number 5 on my pasta machine. Again, 0 being the thickest setting. What I'm going to do now, and I'm just going to make myself some more room. So that was the silver, the light blue, the dark blue, and then we've got the gold, the copper, and the white over here. And I'm just going to take each of those and just cut them roughly in half. This is a pretty rough stack that I'm going to make. Don't need to be perfect about it. So roughly in half on all of them. So that's the other 3 as well. Just cut those in half so they're ready to go. And this one. Okay, but we're just going to work on this one to start with. So just make some room again. So I'm going to take, actually I'm going to start with the dark blue on the bottom, and that sheet of translucent I told you about that I'd already rolled out onto a number 6 now comes into play as well. And I'm just going to randomly place little bits of trans here and there. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm just going to pop that on there like that. So that's the dark blue, and then I'm going to top with the light blue. Get another piece of trans. Actually guys, I'm going to take this down to a number 7. So ignore that first bit that I put on. Well, don't ignore it, still do it, but roll it onto a 7. I'm not going to bother changing it now, but take this down to a 7 instead of a 6. And then I'm just going to, I feel like I'm all thumbs today. Let me just take some of that away. I'm just going to pop that on top of that there, like so. And then I'm going to go with the light blue again. Doesn't matter if you don't do it in the same order, but I am putting a little bit of trans in between each of the layers. I might need to roll out some more. And I'm not being perfect about it. It doesn't matter if you tear pieces off. I don't care that they don't fit exactly. I'm making a stone. It's pretty rough and ready. So I've got a really rough stack there, but I've got one piece of this dark blue left, and that's got to go on the top. And what I'm also going to do on this is just brush a little bit more of the dark blue mica powder on the top of that. Clean my brush. On the top of that. Try again. And obviously it's not going to get mixed in, it's just going to sit on the surface of that. Just want a darker blue to show through as well. Okay, made a mess again, never mind. I'm going to take this now, wipe up that mess, and get my roller, and I'm just going to roll it. These stacks are going to be quite thin. So I'm just going to give it a quick roll, and then I'm going to cut it in half and restack. Simple as that. I'm going to give it a little squish at this point, get it into a nice little square, tidy block. Like so. Make sure they're all nicely stuck together, and I'm going to roll it out because it doesn't need to be too thick. So yeah, it's not going to be too thick. Obviously if you roll it out about the thickness of the cutter, that should be fine, or maybe even a little bit thinner actually, because that is not going to go all the way to the bottom of the stack. Whoops. Oh, for goodness sake. I've been so clumsy again just lately, guys. I think I've walked into the bathroom door like 3 times in this last week. It's like I know it's there and yet I still walk into it. Alright, so when you've rolled it out, it's not very thick. Enough to accommodate your little homemade stamp. But I'm just going to brush on one last coat of this dark blue mica on the top, so hopefully that will push into the clay and give me some little dark blue rings, and of course a little extra sparkle because it's mica powder. So that's the first block, first stack, easy peasy. I'm just going to put that to one side. Wipe this down a bit. Dry it off. And I'm going to bring over the other colours now. So let's start with the gold at the bottom. The copper, then the gold. Whoops. Oh, translucent, that's right. And then the white, and I'm going to need to roll some more trans out, I think. So again, just stack them and periodically place in a little bit of trans. Actually, I'm not going to bother, I think that's going to be fine as is. And then that on the top, and I did that the wrong way round. So yeah, the gold, the dark gold, not the gold, the copper, the bronze needs to be on the top. And same thing as we did with the blue. I'm going to sprinkle some more of that on top. Like so. Give that a roll again. I'm just going to fold that over. And then cut in half, as with the first stack. Give it a mush, give it a squish, stick it all together. This stack's going to be a little bit bigger than this one because I did add a couple of extra pieces of translucent, but it's no biggie. If you want to add a layer of trans in between each colour, you can do. I didn't think it was that much of a big deal to do it on this one as well. Alright, so that's another little block. Just making sure it's all stuck together. Roll it out thinnish. And again, I'm going to add the darker colour on top, so in this case the bronze or copper or whatever it is. Just brush that on. Like so. Move that out the way, wipe the mess. And we've got our two little stacks ready. Okay, simple. So let's bring over the first one then. And I'm going to need one of my other pieces of translucent, and I can't remember which one's which. The thicker one first, which is a 4, and this thin one's rolled onto a 5. Ignore the blue thumbprint on there. Oh dear. I'm so messy. Let me wipe my hands a little bit. I don't know why I'm so messy, guys. I just am. When it comes to crafting, I don't know. My house is spotless. I am like very house proud, so everything's clean. But as soon as I get downstairs at my desk and I'm claying, it's just crap everywhere. I don't know. Anyway. Right, so I'm going to get my little matrix stamp that I made. I'm going to give it a wipe down with a wipe because it needs to be damp. I don't want it sticking in the clay and not coming back out. I'm just going to make sure this is stuck firmly on my tile, and I'm just going to push this in. And you need to push in quite firm as well. And then I I also like to get my roller and just give it a good old push in with that as well. Hopefully that's worked. So then you're left with these raised little bumps on top. I'm just going to use my other one as well, one that's a little bit smaller in size, and just fill up that gap with this. Like I say, you can make these any size you want. You can use a really big ball tool like this to make even bigger circles if you wanted to. Okay, now the thing with this, you're really only going to get the top surface of this with the I'll explain as I go. It makes more sense if I show you. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gently start to slice this off, and I'm not going to do it necessarily in one big sheet. It doesn't matter if the little pieces come off individually, that's all well and good, and you're left with this cute pattern here, look. And the little individual ones are just as important, so if it breaks off like that, it's actually not a bad thing. So I'm just going to get a few little shavings off this one. Now obviously you're only going to be able to do this one time because there's no raised bits now, but you're still left with that pattern underneath, so you can still use what's left underneath to make more pendants. Or the other thing that you could do is, once you've shaved off the top, the first top bumps, you could put another sheet of the darker colour on top and then just re-stamp. I don't, because it's quite a thin piece, so I just kind of use what I've got underneath and just make another pendant with it. But I'm just going to show you with the bumps, so to speak, using the bumps, but you're still left with that same pattern underneath. Try and get a few more decent pieces. Might be a few little odds and ends that don't come out very well, like those didn't really look that great. Like that. So just gather your little bumps, as I call them. This bit here is raised. I'm just going to take a little bit off, and then what's left underneath you can still utilise it, and you can either just keep it as one whole piece like this, just put it on a backing piece, roll it out, and then just cut. But what I like to do, and I'm not going to do a pendant on camera, but I'll just quickly show you what I do. So once I've got all those top bumps off, I give it a roll so it's nice and smooth. Give it a clean. And that's isopropyl alcohol that I use to clean, just in case some of you don't know, and a wet wipe. So just clean it off. So you've still got that pattern underneath, but if you shave it off, it's not going to come off like this because you've gotten rid of those bumps now. You're just left with a smooth surface. But what I like to do is just take very thin slices of wherever and then piece them together on a backing sheet of clay. And you can just piece them however you wish, and you've still got that lovely pattern going on further down as well. So that's what I do with the leftover slab, so to speak, but I'm just going to make a pendant using these bumpy bits today. Okay, so it's not going to go to waste, it's still usable, and it still has that great Ocean Jasper pattern running through it. Alright, so I've got my bumps then, because I don't know what else to call them. And I'm just going to take a bumpy piece, and lay it on the backing sheet of clay, like so. Actually, before I do that, derp, I've still got this one to do, haven't I? So I'm going to do the exact same thing with this one. Make sure my tile's dry before I do that. Make sure it's stuck on there. And just the same thing as last time. Just make the impression with your little stamp. Because I want to incorporate both of these colours into the one stone, but I didn't want them to be part of the same stack. I wanted to keep them separate, so I could place them where I thought they looked good. Just going to get my roller again and make sure it's gone in there pretty good. Okay, so same thing then. I'm just going to take those bumps off. Like so. Let me try and get a little sheet of them as well. Some nice ones there. And that's it. That's all I'm going to do, I think. And same thing, you've still got that lovely pattern underneath, and you can do whatever you want to do with it. I personally like to take shavings off and then piece them together, you know, so you've got the both colours in one pendant, but you can just keep it as one colour or whatever you want to do, guys. Or like I say, you can restamp them and do some more bumps, up to you. Alright then, so I've got my little pieces ready, and I've already put that blue piece on because I was ahead of myself, and I'm just going to place them where I think it looks good. And they don't have to be completely joined together. It's actually nice if you leave a little, you know, a few little gaps here and there. So like this one, I'm just going to put that there. I mean, it's going to probably join up by the time I burnish it, but you can leave little gaps if you want to. And like I say, even these individual pieces are going to look good. Oops. Just to stick them wherever. I'm trying to think where I want this to go. I'm just going to actually bring that round a little bit. So you're just simply placing these little lumpy bits on there, and I'm going to bring in some of that goldy coppery colour and strategically place those as well. And I'm probably going to be able to get 2 pendants out of these little pieces. And I'm just going to bring a little bit more of that gold up here and here. And yeah, I've definitely got enough to make another pendant from, so that's good. I'm just going to put that there. So you just place it wherever you feel looks good, guys. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. I'm just going to pop that there, and I think I'll leave that bit out. I'm trying to think if I want to add any more of this, because I want to make sure. Speaking of which, I need to just check that, yeah, that's good. And I might leave a little bit of trans at the top. So I don't think I need to add anything else except for this little bit here, just because I like it. Alright, so that's all I'm doing, and I've still got all those bits left to make another one, and then of course I've still got the rest of my slabs to make plenty of more pieces from. Okay. Okay, so that's that. Now, need to give this a good burnish, as usual. Piece of paper and my steel soap, which is listed in my Amazon storefront, and I'll leave the link in the description. And I'm just going to give this a jolly good burnish. Just want to make sure it's all nice and flat and smooth. And not stick to the paper like that. I think I burnished a little too hard there. I think my Jolly Good burnish got an extra Jolly Good burnish. Oh well. So I've got to try and smooth that out now. Oops. Just give it a little feel. That's split open a little bit there, look. Oops again. I think it's because it's a little damp still. I didn't dry it off properly. Don't panic. I'm probably not even going to utilise that bit anyway, so I'm not too worried. I'm going to give it a little bit of a clean. Get that excess gunk off. I'm just going to lift this up because for some reason it's because it's still wet under there. I didn't dry it off properly, guys. That's why. That's why it tore. But not to worry. Just give that another quick wipe. Another little feel. It does need just a little bit more burnishing. Because I want it nice and smooth. And there we go. That's good. Right, I'm just going to give it one more wipe. Alright, so you've got all your little pieces together, but now we're going to cut into this. Make sure this is on there good this time before I start cutting. So get an X-Acto knife and then just cut, follow those little round shapes around like this. And you can even take it right in if you want to. Just following where those little, I don't even know what you call them, those little circular patterns kind of protrude. Just bring it round and then cut away. Would help if I actually cut this end, wouldn't it? Alright, so you're just taking quite a bit of that translucent away. Of course it's not going to go to waste. Give it a little bit of a tidy up here and there. I don't know why my clay's breaking like this. I think I received an older pack because it's a little bit crumbly. Normally I have to leach it, I didn't have to leach this one. Which isn't a problem. And also this rubbing alcohol's probably dried it out a little bit as well. Alright, so that doesn't look that tidy to me, so I'm going to fiddle with this for a little bit. Just play around with it so it looks a little bit tidier. Okay, and then I'm bringing over my other backing piece, but this is rolled out thinner onto a 5. You can make your pendants as thick as you want, but this is the thickness I like. And I'm just going to pop this on there, and then hopefully it will stop breaking on me. Okay, like so. I'm just going to get one of these little silicone thingies and try and tidy this up a bit. Just smooth it out a little bit here and there. Get my fingers in there and give it a smooth. There's a little bit there that needs smoothing out. like so, and I think we're good. Okay, so I've got that on that backing now, so I'm just going to give it another quick rub just to make sure it's nicely stuck to that bottom piece. I'm just going to use my fingers on this part. Like so. And now I'm just going to get rid of some of this excess trans so that can be used. And now I'm going to get my cutter, and I'm using just a large round one at this point. I might cut it down to size, I don't know yet. I'll see how it looks when I've cut it. Sometimes they look a bit too big to me and I end up making it smaller, but I'm going to see. And I'm just going to find where I like on there. Which is difficult to see with the camera there, but I'll try. There we go, that'll do. And I'm just going to cut through. Like so. Get rid of this trans, it's clean, and that's got a little bit left on it, but oh well. Chippy choppy, that's my answer to everything. You got any left over, especially trans? Chippy choppy. Okay, now you're going to need your X-Acto knife again, and I'm going to cut another squiggly pattern, but just kind of on the edge, and I'm actually going to remove some of this here, just so it leaves a odd little pattern like that. Let me see, take this up there a little bit. So it just leaves you a little wavy pattern at the bottom. I would have preferred if I'd got a wider piece, wider wiggle there. Perhaps I shouldn't have brought this set down so far, but it's fine. I'm so fussy. It's like, oh, I didn't want it to look like that. I wanted it to look different. So you've just got this blank bit here, which is going to be left until we add the druzy. So that just needs to be baked now. I am going to dome it, and I'm going to bake it for an hour. And I don't like that wiggly line. It doesn't look right. I'm going to bring this up a little bit. So just fiddle around with it, guys. And I'm wondering whether to make it smaller. I don't know. No, I think I'll leave it because I'm going to dome it, so that will make it look a bit smaller. But just for now, I'm popping it on this paper. So I'm going to go and bake this after I've messed around with it a little bit. Alright, so that's the piece, and I'm going to go and bake it, and then we'll move on to the next step. Okay guys, it's been baked. I've actually already sanded this part because it's just easier to do before we put the druzy in. So I've gone through all the grits to sand this, but I haven't buffed it yet. I'll do that once it's been back in the oven and cooled off. So that's the piece. Obviously we need to do our druzy, so there's that little bit of translucent clay that we had to one side, and I'm just going to chippy chop it up. I'm going to chippy chop it up into fine little pieces, very small. So I won't do all that on camera, it's self-explanatory, but I'm literally just going to keep on chopping through until the pieces are really small, like so. Alright, so I'm just going to go and finish that and then I'll show you what it looks like when I've done all the chopping. I've chopped that fairly fine, but I always like to chop after I've added the mica powder. So I'm going to actually do two separate piles, so I'll put a little bit over there and a little bit over here. and this is going to have the lighter blue in there, and the other one I'm going to use the gold, if I can open it. And then just the usual thing, just tumble it up in the mica powder like so. Used way too much as usual. Tumble, tumble. And the same with the gold. Give it a quick tumble. Some pieces have stuck together there, but and when you've done that, I like to go back in and chop some more, because this really does need to look like crumbs. So just keep going over and over it until you get very, 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 very fine pieces. Like so. Okay, so I'll go and do the rest of that off camera, and once again I shall return. These are in really fine pieces now, almost like breadcrumbs. I'm just going to give one last little chop. Hopefully you can see how tiny they are. And then I'm just going to mix them together like so. And even that is way too much for one pendant, but obviously I've got other pieces that I can use it for. So that's the Druzy. Easy peasy. I'll get my piece back over here. Wipe my hands down a little bit because they're all micaed up now. And then this is where the liquid, translucent liquid clay comes into play. And you're just going to put it on that area where it's just the translucent clay like this, and then just push it around right up to the edges like this. You want a fairly decent coat of it. Want to make sure all those little pieces stick. A little bit more in there, and I find it way easier to do this part once you've baked the actual piece. You can do it the other way. You can put the Druzy onto the raw piece, but it just makes it so much easier doing it this way, because that way you're not getting little bits of Druzy stuck on areas that you don't want it to be. I mean, it's possible to do it, because I have when I've been lazy and don't want to wait. It just takes more time though, so it's kind of counterproductive doing it that way. Alright, so when you've got a decent coat of the liquid clay, I'm just going to take it and just pick a few little pieces up and just crumble it over the top. Don't have to be too careful, because obviously the piece is baked, so that's really not going to stick on there. Give it a little pat down, very gentle. You don't want to lose the texture. There's a little bit on there that needs covering. I don't think I've got any liquid clay on that bit. And then just tap to get rid of the excess. Just want to make sure it's all in there good. Little tap. I just need a tiny bit more of liquid clay on the little curly end bits there. Look, didn't quite get it. Oh, bit too much of that. Sprinkle. I'm just going to sprinkle one more time, just to make sure every little bit's covered that needs to be covered. And then there's plenty more left if you want to do another pendant with it. Shake, 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 tap, tap, tap. Make sure it's all off. And I think that's good. Just tidy up a little bit. Alright, so that's that, and obviously it needs to go back in the oven. I'll probably just bake it for 20 to 30 minutes just to get these little tiny pieces cured. And obviously you can go back and wipe anything off there that got on there. And you can see how shiny this is going to be once I've buffed it. Look how shiny. And that's just from sanding through the grits. I will leave a video on how I finish my pieces in the description so you can see what I do to sand to get a nice shine. Alright guys, so that's the druzy part on there, so I'm just going to go and put this back in the oven and I will return. Alright guys, I finished the piece and obviously I baked it again, so these are all cured in here. I gave it a nice buff, so that's the beautiful shine on it. Really pretty. Pinch bail, these are listed in my Amazon storefront, along with a pretty blue cord, also listed in my Amazon storefront. So there's that piece. I'll show you one more piece that I did. I wanted to show you one that I did a couple of days ago from a different batch that I had, and I cannot find it anywhere. I'm kind of disappointed because it was really nice, and it wasn't round, it was a different shape that I used, and again I probably can't find the shape I used either. So oh, there it is. I actually used this shape. So imagine that you've got this on your clay, you cut out your piece, and I just did a few little, you know, wiggly cutouts there, put it on my backing sheet, and then added the druzy in the same way as I did this. But it works for different shapes as well. I just wish I could find it. I don't know what I did with it. But anyway, that's the piece from today. I might add a little bit of gloss varnish on the druzy bit to make it sparkle, but I've not fully decided on that yet. I mean, it's pretty good in there, but maybe just to give it a bit of sparkle. But I definitely wouldn't resin these. I think the shine from sanding and buffing is perfect. So that's that piece, and I'll just quickly show you another piece that I did much the same way as this, except that one's domed and this one isn't. And I've hung it, you know, a different way. You don't have to hang it with it straight down like that. You could hang it, you know, whichever way you want. So that's hanged a different way, hung a different way. And just added some danglies on the bottom there. Beautiful pinch bail, and I'll most likely add one of those to it as well. So there's that piece. I just think they're so pretty. Alright, so there's two pieces that I made. I did make more, but I can't find them. And before I go, I used this to dome this piece. Somebody in my group said that that's what they used to dome, and it's one of those I don't know what you call it, but it's for an oil burner, and it's a replacement dish for an oil burner. I've listed these on my Amazon storefront because I actually love the way it domes. It really gives it a nice, neat dome. So there's that as well. Alright guys, that's all for today. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you later. Bye.